So the demand for graphite seems to be growing year after year because of, you know it, electric vehicles and special batteries. Hey, this is Fabi with Equity.Guru, and today I have a tiny little company that has a very bold proposition with their graphite projects. This is your typical high risk, high reward speculation. Let's take a look. Now, Ceylon Graphite is focused on picking up properties in Sri Lanka, which, believe it or not, is a world-class region for graphite deposits. This graphite is not only abundant, but it's also extremely high grade. And if you know anything about battery metals, then you will know that for most everything that goes into a battery, you absolutely need the stuff to come in very high purity, because if you don't, it simply doesn't work for batteries. So these guys are finding material that's as high as 90-some% Cg. And to work in that part of the world, the mining costs are not very high. So let's take a look here. Now, I just want to show a few things about the demand for graphite. Like I mentioned, it is rising, and we are right here, 2019, and you can see that the biggest growth here is from batteries, going from, well, you know, going up more than 15% just in battery demand in and of itself. Obviously, the total demand picture isn't as high, but we often talk about copper and how we need 3% more copper every year to meet demand for the next few decades. Well, it looks as if graphite is in a much more steep demand curve. And this is important to know here. The anode market, which is the battery market, has grown from 85K tons in 2015, so only 4 years ago, to over 160 tons in 2018. That's huge. It doubled in 3 years. Now, if supply grows to meet demand and they can maintain a decent payable price, then it means that graphite has a higher chance of not being kicked out of the battery metal composition due to price. And that's very important. Every time we talk about battery metals, we need to see, okay, can we get the cobalt? Can we get the lithium? Can we get all these materials? If any one of them becomes way too pricey or way too difficult to source, like cobalt, then either we need to find more of it, technology needs to get better, or we just need to actually use something else. So Ceylon Graphite operates in Sri Lanka. All of their assets are in Sri Lanka, and they operate through 2 wholly owned subsidiaries. For this kind of project in such a exotic jurisdiction for us Westerners, I guess, you really need to have a team on the ground that is from the local area. They know how to deal with the politicians, the rules, and they know the price of everything. Now, the land that they have is in what they call grids. So a grid is a 1 kilometer square, and they have 121 of these. So 121 square kilometer of grids. Rumor has it that they basically went to the Sri Lankan government and said, you know, what do you guys know about graphite and graphite production way back in the days before the Great Wars? And they actually had a lot of information on historical mines that they basically just handed over. So it seems like they have a pretty good relationship with the people who are in the government in the area. That's always a plus. Now, this is the really cool stuff. The majority of the grids, or the little squares of land, have evidence of shafts and adits. So walking up to these things, you can tell that they've been worked on. And in Sri Lanka, you're not allowed to mine in an open pit, so it has to be underground. And you have evidence of those workings in most of those grids. Now, they do have a technical report, a 43101, for one of their sites. But the most important thing here is that not only is it very rich in graphite, the area that they're working on, but they have a certificate that proves that the graphite that they have is upgradable to 99.9% Cg, which is battery grade metal. If you are not able to turn what you have in the ground into battery grade, then guess what? You're gonna have to sell that for a much lower price. So building out a processing facility for this is key, because you can get a few bucks for just bricks of this stuff as is, but if you can clean it out, upgrade it to battery metal quality, then we're talking about thousands of dollars per ton. So this is just a little sample of the infrastructure that they already have on site. You see here the main shaft, how deep it goes to 150 feet level, the controlling rooms. Most importantly, that the road is right up against it. This brings your costs way down. Now, the idea here might work out extremely well or might be way too risky. It's too risky for most investors and would fit better speculators. So management is signaling towards just raising money, and as soon as they have permits available, just going out there and mining the stuff out. It seems like general capex will run in and around $2 million in order to work one of these sites, allow those profits to actually fund the rest of the areas that they have. So that's some of the underground work that is being done. This is a K1 site. They have some natural graphite veins. So these things are not huge, but they are extremely rich graphite veins, and they run for quite a bit. I believe one of them runs as long as 75 meters. So like I said, it's still early days, but it seems like they want to kickstart commercial production, start small with smaller capex of around $2 million, get a processing plant, get sales contracts with energy storage or battery contracts, get a possible joint venture with an anode manufacturing facility for the production of battery grade, and take it from there. Now, they're currently sitting at a 52-week low with a 6.85 million market cap. It trades very thinly, but a lot of the stock is being held by one or two people. Now, if you take a look at the long-term chart here, you'll see that they started much stronger. Graphite comes and goes, and exploration is a very long process. So if you think that graphite is gonna come back, it's going to become popular again with speculators, you definitely need to watch Ceylon Graphite. If you think that these guys can pull off, do a little bit of research, look into who these people are. If you think that they can pull off a small capex project and take it from there, then the returns on this could be extraordinary. Again, very high risk. Most companies that try to skip a few steps in the exploration process have it backfire. But if it works, it means that you just shaved off years and millions upon millions of dollars of investment, and your return of capital and on capital is much quicker. So that's it. That's Ceylon Graphite.